Okay, so in today's video, we're going to have a look at two ways of making our foundation chain. So you may know, and we have in a video, that you can start your foundation chain by just chaining as follows and chain as many as is required in the pattern. That would be one way to make a foundation chain, but you'll find that as you crochet in this foundation chain, you may have a little bit weak of a foundation. So for example, if I just finish this now, this first row, what you will see is it can be a little bit weak right here at the bottom. So some people like to do this, I do this a lot, but it is one way to make a foundation chain. Let's have a look at another way to make a foundation chain. So what we're going to do is still make that slip knot as normal. There we go. And then we will crochet another 2 loops. So let's do this. Here's the first loop, and then here's the second loop. At this point, we're going to enter the hook through the first loop, which was the loop that is closest to the slip knot right there. Then we're going to pull the yarn through that loop until we have 2 loops left on the hook. Then we will pull the yarn through only 1 loop right there, and then we will pull the yarn through 2 loops. And then we have just finished the first stitch in our foundation chain. Okay, now to continue on, instead of just going through the 1 loop, we're going to go through the first and then behind it. So you can see here's front, and I'm working vertically here. I'm going to enter not here, but the one after, and then if I look behind, you'll see another loop, and I'm going to enter my hook behind that loop as well. So then we pull the yarn through those 2 loops, and then we pull the yarn through the first loop on the hook, and then we pull the yarn through the 2 loops left on the hook. If I can do it right there. There we go. Okay, next. Take a look, here's the front position. We're still working vertically. We can see the first loop right here, right here. Look past it. We see the second loop, and do your hook here, and then turn it a little bit, and you can see that second loop right there. We're going to enter our hook through both those loops. Then we pull the yarn through, then we pull the yarn through the first loop, and then pull the yarn through both loops that are left on the hook. There we go. Okay, so if we want to do it again, we need to turn. We can see that first loop right here. Then we will go to the second loop underneath it. And then if we keep turning, we can see that third loop right there. So there we go. We've got 2 loops now on the hook. We will grab the yarn, pull it through, pull the yarn through the first loop on the hook, and then pull the yarn again through those 2 loops on the hook. And there we go. There we have our second way of making a foundation chain. Another way to make the foundation chain is as follows. What you'll do is you'll leave a large or a long yarn tail, depending on how many chains you want to do. Make sure you have enough extra yarn to carry through all the chains that you're going to do. And then you'll start your slip knot. So you'll make the slip knot as follows. You'll just turn the yarn around, insert the hook, grab the yarn and pull it through, and then pull this nice and tight. You see we'll have a lot of yarn left here because we're going to need it. Now what we're going to do, as I pull this closely, is I'm going to chain 1 as follows. Then I'm going to wrap this yarn tail around the hook, as you can see. And then I'm going to grab the yarn and pull it through both loops on the hook. And there is our first foundation chain or stitch. Now I will keep repeating this process, so the yarn will go over the hook, and then I'll pull the yarn through those 2 loops on the hook. Let's do it again. Yarn over, pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull the yarn through the 2 loops on the hook, and as you can see, we're starting to get a nice foundation chain right there. And then in the next row, we can then start doing our stitches as required by the pattern. So there you go, there's some tips for you on foundation chains. I hope you enjoyed.